I was glad when they said to me, "Let us go to the house of the Lord." Finally, finally, we are ready to gather again as the people of God at Westminster Presbyterian Church. Last night, our session voted to begin holding worship services on June 14th, 2 weeks from this Sunday. And so what I want to do is speak briefly to you about that now and let you know that a letter is coming to everyone that will go into much more detail. But here are the main things that we all need to know. First, we will hold our services in the same order, in the same way that we have in the past. 9 o'clock, traditional worship. 11 o'clock, modern worship. But in order to follow the guidelines that our governor has established for large gatherings, we're going to restrict the worship service to 20% capacity. Now what that means is that we will have only about 150 people in the sanctuary. That's where live worship will take place. But we're going to have overflow in the hall and in the chapel. And if needed, we can do that in the youth room as well. But in the hall, we can have about 140 people. In the chapel, about 30. Now, second thing what we need to know is that initially, and I say initially, this is kind of the next phase, but initially we will only have worship services. There will be nothing else going on our campus. No children's ministry, no youth ministry, no adult ministry. Worship only. And that means no nursery even, and no children's worship until we feel like it is safe to do so. Third, we have been deep cleaning and will continue to deep clean the facilities right up until June 14, and in between the 9 o'clock and the 11 o'clock hours, we'll also clean the worship facilities. Fourth, and this is what's going to be a challenge for us, the worship time is going to be different for a while. And again, I say for a while. In addition to restricting capacity to 20%, here are three things that I think are going to be really feel most different for us. First, we've got to continue to practice social distancing. And that means no hugs, no handshakes. I know that sounds terrible, and it is terrible. I mean, it almost feels unloving to be able to see people we haven't seen in quite a while and not go up and extend a hand or a hug. It seems unloving, but in truth, it really is loving because we are trying to protect each other. Second, we're going to require that everyone wear a mask. Now, I don't like wearing masks, and I would imagine that's the same for you. But again, we're trying to protect each other. We're trying to love each other well. Third, and this might be the most difficult of all, we're not going to have congregational singing. Instead, we will have leaders up front on the platform singing, but not so that we join in. And here's why. In very credible studies, they consistently say that singing is probably one of the most effective ways of spreading the coronavirus. In other words, it is one of the most dangerous things we can do right now because it spreads the disease not a few feet, but up to 20 feet or even beyond that. Now, I know you may be thinking, gosh, that's kind of surprising. You may be going through all kinds of emotions. Maybe you're shocked. Maybe you're fearful. Maybe you are irritated or frustrated by these things. Maybe you're even angry, and I get it. As I've kind of had to walk through this, thinking through what worship's going to look like, I've been through a lot of these emotions. But But here's what we've got to do for each other. We need to, especially in this time, but always, of course, we need to love our neighbor well. And that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to restrict each other's freedoms as we come to worship. We're trying to love our neighbor well. By practicing social distancing, what we're doing is saying, I love you well enough not to get you sick if I am sick and don't know it. By wearing masks. You know, masks are not really all that helpful for the wearer. They protect others actually from you. And by not singing, again, what we're doing is saying, I'm going to love you, my neighbor, well enough not to risk giving you this virus if in fact I have it and don't know it. These things are tough, but for right now, for this phase, and I pray it's a short phase, this is what we're going to do. Two more things. You know, just because we are regathering on June 14, there are some of you who are in that vulnerable category, and we strongly recommend that you remain at home and continue to worship online. We will continue streaming our services online. And let me say to those of you who are not in that vulnerable category, but are uncomfortable regathering at this time, please, please, please hear this. Please feel free to stay at home and to continue to worship online. God gives you that freedom to make that decision, and believe me, we do as well. Finally, this is a time when, if I can put it this way, we really need to be who we profess we are, and that is Christian, with each other. And what I mean by that is we need to extend a lot of grace to each other. You know, we have all kinds of different opinions on all of this because we've read so many different things. Some of us may feel like we should have gathered some time ago. Others of you are thinking, gosh, I'm not ready to regather at all. All I can say with respect to this session is that we have done as well as we could, given all the data out there, trying to sort through what is the best way to make this decision. And so June 14th is the day we have decided to gather. I would imagine some of you think it's just crazy that we're going to require wearing masks. Others of you are thinking, I don't want to be around anyone who is not wearing a mask. And some of you, I know, you want to give up this social distancing. I get it. I don't like it at all. But I want to ask you to extend to each other the grace that God has extended to you. Please, let's be patient with each other and patient with this reopening process. It will feel very odd at first, and quite frankly, we probably will make some mistakes. It'll be clunky for a while and different. But here is the bottom line. In addition to being patient with each other, extending a lot of grace to each other, giving people the right to have their own opinions, let's celebrate the fact that finally we get to regather for worship. Even if it is a bit different from what we're used to, it is still the most amazing experience in all of life to be able to worship the living God, the one who has created us and redeemed us, and to be able to do that in the presence of people we love. June 14, more details to follow, but I cannot wait to see you again.